What's up, guys? Joe here with the supplementreviews.org. Today I'm going to be talking about a brand new fat burner that just hit the market. It's a super exciting fat burner that's probably going to rank amongst our top 3. If I had to personally rate it, I would probably put it either in the 1 spot actually, but more likely than that I would put it in the 2 spot directly below Instant Knockout. This fat burner is called PhenQ. So you currently are watching the video review for this fat burner, which is going to be as brief as I can possibly make it. However, if you would like more details, feel free to go ahead and click that link below, which is going to take you to our website where you can read through every last detail about what exactly makes this supplement top 3 in the market. With that said, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, your most important consideration, and I've mentioned this many times before you buy a supplement, you want to make sure the ingredients are 4 things. 1 is high quality. 2 is that you want to make sure they're synergistic. 3 is that you want to make sure they're contained in sufficient amounts. And 4 is that you want to make sure there are clinical studies that back these ingredients, especially the primary ones. Primary ingredients meaning anything that's contained in a high amount. So whatever is contained in the highest amount on any supplement, that's what you're going to consider a primary ingredient. So I'm going to go ahead and go over these primary ingredients, all of which are clinically proven. So that checklist that I just gave you, you can go ahead and check off every single one when it comes to this supplement, meaning that there are high quality ingredients contained in sufficient amounts, all the ingredients are synergistic with each other, and there are clinical studies to back every primary ingredient. So I'm going to go over just briefly the purpose of each ingredient, and then I'm going to give you the clinical studies behind them, and I'm going to explain the secret ingredient in this product. And I know that sounds a little cheesy, and those are not my words. That comes from the manufacturer's website. The reason they call it a secret ingredient is because they leave what exactly is contained in the blend undisclosed. And the reason that they do that is so that their product can't get ripped off by other manufacturers. It's really rather simple, but what they've done is they've termed this ingredient Lacey's Reset. And what exactly is in it, we can't know because they decided to leave that undisclosed in order to avoid getting ripped off, but I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of this review. Right now we're going to go over some of the ingredients and explain each individual ingredient's purpose, and keep in mind that every single one of these is clinically proven to do what I'm saying they're able to do. This isn't just speculation. Anyways, we'll get started. So, Capsimax powder. This is going to be your first primary ingredient within PhenQ. Capsimax powder is something that I like to call the destroyer of fat stores. And the reason I call it that is, it's exactly how it sounds. This is going to be the ingredient that when you ingest, it's going to go ahead and attack all of the fat that you have accumulated. So this is the first important component of any fat burner that you're considering buying. You want to make sure that fat you've accumulated is going to be attacked and destroyed. And a lot of people do consider that. That actually is pretty common knowledge. However, this next ingredient and this next component of a fat burner is something that a lot of people don't think about. So Capsimax powder is going to go ahead and destroy your fat stores. And then you have this second primary ingredient, which is calcium carbonate. And I like to call this one the preventer of unwanted fat. And that, again, is exactly how it sounds. This is a component a lot of people don't consider. So while you do want your fat burner to be attacking fat stores and fat that you've already accumulated, you also want your fat burner to be preventing you from putting on any more fat. Because otherwise, you could be destroying fat that you've accumulated while still gaining fat. And that's going to end up evening itself out more, and that's just going to be pointless. So you want to make sure that any fat burner you're considering buying has this component of preventing any more fat gain. The third important ingredient and component of this fat burner is, we did calcium carbonate. The third one is chromium picolinate. And now this is an important ingredient, something that I like to call the appetite suppressor. And again, that's another self-explanatory nickname that I've given this ingredient, and there are a lot of clinical studies that back this ingredient and its ability to suppress your appetite. So when you're ingesting this ingredient in sufficient amounts, and remember, the sufficient amount is going to be very important, otherwise the quality of the ingredient really isn't going to matter. So if there's not enough of it in there, it's not going to be effective. But there certainly is enough of this one in there in order for it to do its job, which again is to suppress your appetite. This ingredient is clinically proven to be able to make you feel less hungry less often, right? So you're not going to get those cravings that you get, and you're still going to be able to, maintain a proper diet and have enough calorie intake to function on a daily basis, but you're not going to get those extra cravings for snacks and stuff like that that you would normally get thanks to this ingredient. And the next one that we have here is caffeine. And this is another ingredient that you see in a lot of fat burners. And the reason is pretty obvious. It's simply that it's an energy booster. So it's going to boost your energy, boost your metabolism, and that's going to go ahead and put your body into a fat burning state, which for those of you who don't know, a fat burning state is simply something that when your body is in it, it's inclined to burn fat whenever it's given the chance. So when your body's not in a fat burning state, it can turn to other things for energy instead of fat. But when it is put into that fat burning state, every time it needs energy, it's going to turn to fat stores and go ahead and burn that up and use it for energy. And that's why caffeine is included in a lot of different supplements. However, without L-carnitine, which is this next ingredient and very important component of this supplement, caffeine doesn't do its job as effectively. And L-carnitine, you've probably heard me talk about this one before. This is in a lot of different fat burners as well, for good reason. L-carnitine is what I like to call fat's cabbie. And the reason I call it that is because it serves the purpose of a cab driver whose only customer is fat. So what L-carnitine does is it picks fat up and it takes it to the mitochondria, where it's then used and burned so that it can be used as energy. So in order for fat to actually be used as energy, it needs to be brought to the mitochondria, because that's the only place in your body where fat can be burned. That's the only place in the cell where your body can utilize the fat. So without it being brought there, it's not going to be used for energy, and that is why L-carnitine is so important, because it's going to go ahead and bring the fat to the spot, aka the mitochondria, where it's able to be burned and then used. So those are really all of the primary ingredients, and again, there are some more that are in there that are actually pretty important, but if you would like more details on that, just feel free to click the link below, read that review. It's very in-depth. It does not miss anything. So these video reviews tend to be shorter and a little bit more brief and to the point, whereas the written reviews are very detailed and contain all the information you need to know. With that said, this last ingredient, what the manufacturer is calling the secret ingredient, as I mentioned before, they call it Lacey's Reset. Now, the clinical studies on this ingredient are honestly fascinating. I've never seen anything like this before. So there are fat burners out there where they do clinical studies on, and you take it for a month or 2 months or a couple weeks or whatever it is, and they measure your body fat percentage at the beginning of the study, and then they measure it again at the end when you're done taking the product, and see how much body fat you've lost. And generally what you'll see is like 2 to 4%. A really good fat burner, you might see 5 or 6%. This particular fat burner with PhenQ, as a result of putting Lacey's Reset into the formula, the clinical studies showed that the participants burned up to 7.24% of their body fat. So that means that their body fat percentage decreased by 7.24%. And that is honestly enormous. And the study says it went from 4 to 6 weeks. So even if we're saying, and just assuming that the study was 6 weeks long, if you were to lose over 7% of your body fat percentage in a matter of 6 weeks, that is honestly amazing. And that's why we're going to end up ranking this among our top 3, because we haven't seen results like that. We haven't seen proof like that with a lot of these products out there other than Instant Knockout. And again, if you want to buy this product, make sure that you use our link. And I know I say this a lot, and a lot of people don't understand why it's important to use the link. But for this product specifically, the reason you're going to want to use our link is because there are a lot of middlemen who pick up this product in bulk and then hike up the price, and they want to sell it to you. And that's how they make their money. So you want to avoid those middlemen and thereby avoid hiked up prices. And so the link that we provide takes you directly to the manufacturer's website, so there's no additional costs that come with that. That's going to be the lowest price you're going to find anywhere. And anytime, as a general rule of thumb, when you buy a supplement, you want to buy it directly from the manufacturer, otherwise you're going to be paying some additional costs. So, should you decide that you want to buy this supplement, maybe feel free to read a little bit more about it by clicking that link below. But if you do want to buy it, click that link, scroll to the bottom, and then click Order PhenQ. And that's going to go ahead and take you directly to the manufacturer's website, where you'll get the lowest price, and perhaps more importantly, you'll be able to see all of the clinical studies. So the one I just gave is just one example, but they have several clinical studies on their website that prove the effectiveness of all of these ingredients, and frankly, the evidence is extremely compelling. And I would highly encourage you to go ahead and click that link and check out that website. But if you guys have any questions about PhenQ or fat burners or anything else at all, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get back to you ASAP. Thanks, guys.